more drama. How could we take any more? Through some of those moments and then the prospects of the teams.
Got a bit to work through.
The mark. You were there for it.
The mark. What I would love people to do, if they are footy heads, is to, if you can hit your slow-mo, if you hold the remote down on play, it'll slow-mo. Do you know that, Gerard?
Yeah, right.
And then just slow-mo the mark from about here, and then just put yourself in his position. So he's just going back. He's going back, and he makes a decision about now where he says, righto, I'm going to open my rib cage, my spine, the back of my head, my shoulders. I'm opening all of these organs to anyone who wants to come from 40 metres away to jump into me. It is unnatural. No wonder, well, maybe 3 or 4 in the history that I've been watching just did it naturally. Everyone else who is in that position has to ball up their courage and make a conscious decision to say, I am prepared to do myself enormous damage here in the process. And so once you make that decision, that turns you into a hero for me. But then completing the mark is the next thing. And he marks the footy. So the context, we've all seen the great marks. There's a moment where you've got to decide, Gerard. You've got to decide. Nick Riewoldt got to decide when he ran with the flight. Yeah. The big fella next door's got to decide, I'll go and see, I might smash myself. Mark Keane did it and helped save the game.
Meritorious, an unforgettable moment for him. The rundown tackle at the MCG, Tom Brown. How perfect that it was the rundown tackle, which for a few weeks has been debated either for the consequences of it or for the giving away of a free kick. So in the moment he sets out after Gross, I love the motivation of both those two players going, I've got to make amends for what just happened. He's not only got to get there, he then has to affect the tackle without giving away a free kick in the back, without slipping low. So he's got to get it just right and then tackle, roll and release an arm so as to not give away the free kick and risk suspension. This is just utterly brilliant in the way that he not only saw it, went after it, but executed it.
And when we dissected all of this with the Curtis thing, we said, gee, we're asking a lot of players. Well, we can ask, but the answer to that is we can ask a lot of players because the stakes are as high here. The pace and the velocity is as high as the Paul Curtis thing, and he was able to compute all of that and make that decision. So do we ask a lot of them, which we said we do? Yes, we do, but the players can handle it. And that, what do you say? Oh, if I didn't do it after the body smell, I was going to get smoked in the review. Yes. Smoked in the review might be the classic call of the year. And then Adamuzze said he's a great lad, Tommy Brown. He's Paul Brown's son. Yeah. He's got the footy chip. I love that vernacular as well. So he's a footy head. So it was beautiful. I loved it. And good on the Tigers. Adamuzze, 3 wins out of 9. Yeah, they're nice.
Yep. And they've had moments. They've got the Seth Green flip, and now they've got the rundown tackle. So they've got
some kids in there who we're not taking too much notice of right now, Gerard, who are 6'6" and above. Look out.
Extra time. So I haven't sat with you before after a draw. Yes. Are you with or against Fags here? One of the most sensible, pragmatic men in the game.
Yep, I'm against him. For me, a draw is a result. That's the way I see it. So I don't need to go to extra time. I am bemused by the fact that we've got 3 different rules in the AFL for home and away. All finals bar the grand final, then another set of rules for the grand final. But no, I'm happy to accept the home and away result as a draw. 2 points apiece. Makes the ladder a bit more interesting. So, you extra time?
I'm a moderate on this, right. But if you want to entertain me for 6 more minutes, I'm totally up for it.
Yeah, it would be entertaining, but I'm happy to accept the draw as a result that doesn't come around too often.
2 clubs who disappointed last week were the Giants and the Suns. Yep. They both planted their flag in different ways, one in a hostile environment and one who's making the top end their own. The Giants first, who revisited an old theme down at GMHBA, and there's not many teams who can make an opposition's fortress their own stronghold.
Yeah, look, this is one of the moments that struck me. So Mark Blitzarves took that mark, and then Patrick Dangerfield took the ball. Now, Mark Blitzarves knows that's his mark. If you want to kick that goal and be the hero, you don't let Patrick Dangerfield walk away with it. So that was just a little one for me in what was a game of great consequence and lots of storylines. But he'd gone, Blitz. He said, I don't want to do it. Don't give it to me. You do it. And this is what happened. So maybe harsh, but if you want to be that man, you're going, bugger off, Danger. I marked it. I'll kick it. And they fell short. So it's a spectacular win for Giants. So they were at a stage last week where we went through some numbers and looked at the way they played and started to question, did they have the sort of midfield depth that big finals teams needed? Well, they threw Toby into the middle. They got their run and dare back off half back, and they had the big fella up forward. So anyone that beats Geelong down there for mine is a serious footy club, and they've done it 5 in a row.
And the Suns are now 7-0 in Darwin. The best part, or one of the best parts of what they do is, I think there's this misnomer that these games aren't very good because it's hot and it's slippery. They make this a high-scoring venue. They're averaging about 116 points in each of their 7 wins. This got thrilling late as the Dogs closed and they tested the mettle of the Suns. So it looked like they'd won it. Yep. They'd won it on total merit, and then all of a sudden they had to go and win it again. And this was probably the most impressive aspect of it.
Yeah, I think the win that they had when a side such as the Western Bulldogs, who are playing with such confidence and dare come back at them in this manner, that maybe in the past you see this side accept that, but they didn't. And I think it's a really, really significant win for them. And now they've got Hawthorn coming up. They stay up there. Damien Harbuck's going to join us in a moment, so we'll find out what they're up to. But gee, I tell you what, if they can bowl over the Western Bulldogs and Hawthorn in consecutive weeks, then or the waiting, well, they won't like us saying that, but the waiting might be over.
Yeah, they're 6-2 now with the game in hand, and then Thursday night, which is such a big occasion.
The game against Essendon up their sleeve down the track might end up being something special. Who knows?
I wonder if it's a nuisance that it's been pushed late, or here it is. So let's talk the Bombers.
Yeah.
They are 5-3. So before we launch, it's worth saying they have beaten the teams who currently sit in 13th, 14th, 15th, 17th and 18th. So for a team that is off 11 wins 2 years in a row, they're taking the scalps that they should. Now, the Swans are a team coming out of the grand final, so take that for what you like. When Brad Scott was here after the diabolical performance against Adelaide, we quizzed him on the defensive integrity of the team and the system that really hadn't been in place either at Essendon or at Essendon on his watch.
Yes.
And that's actually what's revealing itself in recent times. Yeah,
in a really positive way, which is, I think, great encouragement for Essendon and Essendon fans. I wonder if they sit there and notice that, or they just get caught up in the victories. The truth will be told in the telling of the next 3 or 4 weeks, I think, for this footy club. They did what they needed to do against the teams that are positioned where they're positioned. And if you wanted to try out your new resolve as a defensive unit, then they were the teams that you needed to put it in place and then sit back and see it, watch. And then I'm sure the boys who follow us will document the actual numbers. They can look at that block and say, yes, we've implemented this new role or this new system, or sorry, not a new system, but we've paid much more attention to the way we want to play, and we've ticked those boxes, which puts us in this position now, and the tests are coming. So the stress test on how good defensively they are, Gerard, is coming. But all they could do is beat what they've beaten, and that's a pretty damn good result. The one loss is on Anzac Day against the Red Hot Magpies. So that is just ticking all boxes, that right there. And all of the defensive numbers you'll see on the couch, I'm sure, they tick all those boxes. Get ready for what's coming. So
Brad vowed to be competitive while rebuilding, that they would do both at the same time. And it feels like the 3 planks that they're working on is, one, develop the players that they've already got. These are not to be discarded. They have to be as good as they can be. Yep. Refine and implement the system that they will use when they are ready to rise. And then the 3rd plank, weights. They've got the cachet of draft picks where they need to hit their A-grade talent to add to what they've got. Now, the emergence of Zach Reid, this was always what they were hoping for, and that's before our eyes. Zach Merritt, we know, is the standard bearer. Durham to win a stoppage for your life. The forwards, as Caddy is clearly going to grow into that player over the next couple of years. Kako does his bits and pieces. So that last piece of the influx of multiple A-grade talents, which they'll forecast and hope that they get, that's the path to their full rebuild. And so to get to where they are, you've had to be absolutely clear in where you were. And I think from where I sit, for the first time in a long time, they know exactly where they are as a football club and where they're heading. It's just whether they can get there or not. One of the lingering questions for a lot in the football world at the moment is there still a football accident? And the answer is yes. To those who believe that all of these things are outcome driven, when there's a concussion, there's going to be a suspension. That's not the case. And the Luke McDonald case will stand as the next piece of testament to that. So he collides with Berry. It's an awful collision with a terrible outcome. Berry is left concussed. They're both split open as a result. The question is, did Luke McDonald elect to bump? And the answer is clearly not. He was focused on the ball, a man in the mark. He was completely unaware of Berry's presence until the last moment. Berry changes direction and suddenly they're upon each other. McDonald doesn't even get to finish. Whatever he was doing as a flinch reaction, he doesn't even get to finish doing it. And bang, there they are. But that is not an immediate suspension just because it results in a concussion.
No, and that's a good thing. And that's the continuing education of all of us in the footy world. And that chase down tackle is still very much alive. And if you tackle in the right manner, which he did, Tom Brown, and if that young West Coast player had to hit his head in that process, with Tom having let the arm go and gone to the side and rolled, then that's a footy accident, Gerard. That's a footy accident. So no problem with that at all.
It should be reassuring to all those who worry there is still a football accident when there's no culpability.
It was a great round of footy for all those reasons.